Hey everyone, welcome back. And if it's your first time here, just plain welcome. The filibuster has been something of an artifact in the Senate, in particular, for quite some time. And it seems Democrats have recently had a bit of a change of heart. Or, as I like to think of it, outright frickin' hypocrisy. Let's understand that the filibuster, there's a couple of ways a filibuster can work. One is somebody just starts talking as long as they do not cede control of the floor to anybody else, they can keep talking indefinitely. That's one way. It's filibuster. It's happened before. It'll probably happen again. It's a thing. But usually when people talk about filibuster with regard to the Senate, what they're talking about is the ability to essentially filibuster a piece of legislation simply by not voting for cloture. In other words, you can't vote on it because it's just held up. When there's not a supermajority in the Senate, filibuster is always a possibility. And for a lot of years, Democrats controlled the Senate, and filibuster was about the only way Republicans could stop some pretty egregious bills. They still got some stuff through, but there was a lot of stuff that didn't quite make it because of the filibuster. And a lot of Democrats were less than happy about it. Representative Pramila Jayapal is one example, and she's been really outspoken. We've got a couple, in fact, she's got a record on social media calling out the filibuster. First, let's look at this one. This is from April 2021, and you can see her talking about a lot of things that Democrats would love to do, but she can't because the filibuster's in place. It's just a laundry list of Democratic priorities that were blocked because Republicans had enough control of the Senate to block the vote. Okay, I get nobody likes their agenda being stymied by a minority party, but the fact is, in this country, it's supposed to be less than easy to pass laws. This is actually this is not a bug, it's a feature. All right, we're not supposed to have more laws than anyone can comprehend. We do, but this is a mechanism that's actually good for preventing some of that. In fact, just last year, Jayapal put this on X, right? She's calling it Jim Crow, right? And this was a common talking point among the media and other Democratic lawmakers, not just Jayapal. I'm kind of picking on her on this one just because she kind of got egregious about it, and a lot of people brought it to my attention that she had made these comments in the past. Again, this is Jim Crow. This is awful. This is terrible. This is just a few days ago, and while she doesn't say filibuster, that's what this thing about cloture is. Now, for the record, the continuing resolution did pass. Everything went along swimmingly, and Jayapal is just one of many Democrats less than thrilled. In fact, Chuck Schumer, he decided, hey, he was going to vote for the continuing resolution simply because he figured it would prevent Trump and Musk from dismantling the government even quicker. I don't know if that's true or not, but I will say if one of your issues with being the dismantling of the government is that now there's not a workforce to provide essential government services, shutting down the government is not a great way to take care of the people you say depend on those essential government services. But that's a different discussion. We can have that discussion another time. Right now, I'm going to talk about this. See, this is just one of several recent examples of Democratic hypocrisy. Another is Senator Mark Kelly, who had a Tesla, has talked about climate change in the past. He's very much a believer in anthropogenic climate change. This is something he has talked on. He's used his history as an astronaut to, highlight his knowledge of the climate issue, which I don't really see what that gives him, but he seems to think it does. Okay, whatever. But he's taken that role. He had a Tesla. He sold it and bought a Chevy Tahoe. A Chevy Tahoe. Now, let's keep in mind there's the Chevy Volt. It's an electric car. There's hybrids. There's flex fuels. There's a lot of other options here other than one of the vehicles with the worst gas mileage on the roads today. If climate change is such an issue, why are you getting rid of an electric vehicle that you seem to like in exchange for a Tahoe? Now, if it turned out he just didn't like the Tesla, that's fine, but he didn't say it wasn't a good car. I didn't like driving it. It was uncomfortable. It didn't work as advertised. No, he just said he didn't want to do it because Elon Musk is, and I quote here, an asshole. Yeah, that's he didn't want it because Elon Musk has already got the money. Some other guy getting to drive a Tesla right now without having to spend quite as much money, and Elon Musk still has Mark Kelly's money. So I don't know what he thinks he's really accomplishing here. But a lot of people are doing that. They're getting rid of their Teslas because they don't like Elon Musk. Big whoop. Do whatever you got to do. I don't care. But it's funny that you need an electric vehicle because the climate change is such an important issue, and now you're driving a Tahoe. But that's one man. We saw a lot of Democrats wanting to shut down the government. Jasmine Crockett did it. AOC is talking about primarying Chuck Schumer in 4 years because he voted to keep the government open. The thing is, whenever you are the party in power, there is a tendency, especially with Democrats, but Republicans aren't immune to this either, of thinking you will perpetually be in power. There's this tendency to step into the Senate and want to overturn things like the filibuster. At some point, you're going to be the party on the outs. Right now, that's the Democrats. And based on their approval ratings, which are at an all-time low, they might be there for a little while. All right? So now, suddenly, the filibuster is this good and wonderful thing, and it's not racist at all. Now, I remember a few years ago when St. George Floyd died. Oh, so tragically. It had nothing at all to do with all the fentanyl in his system, of course. But when he died, suddenly we were inundated with talks of racism. We had to purge everything with a history of racism from our country. Everything had to go, right? Remembering people like George Washington and Thomas Jefferson wasn't even permitted in some circles because they happen to have also been slave owners. Now, I'm not excusing it. I'm not excusing slavery at all, and I'm not excusing slave ownership. Thomas Jefferson, apparently thought slavery was an obscene institution, and he still continued it. That's pretty hypocritical, too. But we had to purge all of that. We had to get rid of all that. Everything that had a racist history had to be gotten rid of. And yes, the filibuster was part of that, right? The filibuster, that's why they call it Jim Crow. It may have been from that era, but it had nothing necessarily to do with it. Some people say it did, some people say it didn't. Filibuster's been around a long time. But it needed to go because it was racist. And strangely, the racist institution known as gun control was still perfectly swell. Now, the filibuster is as well. Why? Because they need it. And I'm not going to sit here and say we need to get rid of the filibuster because side I favor at this particular time is the one in power, and there are problems getting things through because Democrats have the filibuster. I'd love it if all my preferred legislation just sailed right on through. Just went right on through, easy sailing, and the Democrats were just sitting there going, I want to stop the wars. But I'm realistic. Pendulums swing, right? They go back and forth, back and forth. And the political pendulum will go back. At some point, Democrats will get their shit together, whether I like it or not, and end up in the majority. Probably in the Senate and the House at some point. And when that happens, I like the idea that the filibuster will still be there to at least blunt some of the dumber notions they're having at that moment. And trust me, they've had plenty. So have Republicans. And I like that there's a way to blunt that stuff. It seems right now Democrats agree. But when they're in the majority, they will begin an assault on the filibuster yet again. They don't know how not to be assholes. They don't. That's just my take, though. I want to know what you think. Do you think the filibuster is a useful tool for the legislature, or is it an archaic instrument that needs to go away? Tell me what you think down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit like, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, all that jazz. And again, please comment. Algorithm loves it. Even if you want to tell me to do nasty things to myself, it's all good in the algorithm's eyes. Dislike does the same thing. So tell me what you think. Also, if you want to support the channel, down and below there is a link for an affiliate store for the Liberty Shop. All kinds of cool stuff there. Go down, check it out. Also, my Substack is down there. Feel free to check that out. There's free stuff. There's paid stuff. You know, obviously, lots to check out. And on that note, I'm going to wrap it up here because I'm tired of saying check out. And I will catch you all in the next video.